passage of the Political Parties Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 56 of 2021. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order number 41.3 and 4 of the Senate, I received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the passage by the National Assembly of the Political Parties Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 56 of 2021. The message, which is dated Thursday, 6th January 2022, was received on Friday, 7th January 2022, while the Senate was on recess, and was transmitted to all senators on the same day pursuant to Standing Order number 41.5. Pursuant to the Standing Order, I now report the message, which I quote: pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders number 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Political Parties Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 56 of 2021, was published via Gazette Notice Supplement number 219 of 26 November 2021 as a bill concerning county government seeking to amend the Political Parties Act number 11 of 2021, and whereas the Political Parties Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2021, was passed by the National Assembly on Wednesday, 5th January 2022 with amendments in the form attached hereto, now therefore in accordance with the provisions of Article 110 of the Constitution and Standing Orders 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the said bill to the Senate for consideration. Honorable Senators, Standing Order number 157 requires that a bill originating in the National Assembly be proceeded with by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by way of first reading in accordance with the Standing Orders number 139. Honorable Senators, as you have noted, the bill is listed for first reading in today's order paper, and consequently, at the appropriate time, the clerk will proceed and read the Political Parties Amendment Bill, National Bill number 56 of 2021, a first time. I thank you.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers. Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, statements. Order number 8, the Political Parties Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 56 of 2021, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Political Parties Act and for connected purposes.
What's your point of order, Senator Murkomen?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I'd like to join you in welcoming us here and say Happy New Year to all of us, to yourself, Speaker, and to my colleagues. Happy, very important 2022. We all know why it's important. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, this political parties amendment bill, I just wanted to ask your assurance. I know it's first reading. There's no debate. We still wait for the second reading. And the bill is going to be committed to the relevant committee. I want to assure you, Mr. Speaker, that because of the importance of this bill, that Kenyans will be given an opportunity through public participation, well-publicized public participation, that gives an opportunity. All Kenyans are waiting for this House, Mr. Speaker, considering what happened in the National Assembly. The Republic is waiting, because what happened in the National Assembly did not give an opportunity for debate of the issues. Kenyans are still even wondering why are these people bickering over this bill. I hope, Mr. Speaker, the public participation process will be so thorough, give Kenyans an opportunity, and then when we come back here, we have a debate that is going to give confidence to the people of Kenya that this is truly the upper house. So I just wanted that general assurance, Mr. Speaker, and of course take advantage of this opportunity to wish everybody a Happy New Year.
Senator James Orengo.
Mr. Speaker, I also want... No.
Order, Senator Murkomen. Order.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank first of all, let me wish everybody a Happy New Year and hope that the rest of the tenure of this Senate, we are going to deliver in accordance with our mandate and in accordance with the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Senator from Orengo, Marakwet, and he would have noticed that all that there is today for purposes of this bill is that it should be read for the first time. There is nothing in the order paper that shows that is going to be read. The second reading is coming in these proceedings, this special sitting. And for the information of the Senator, I think the Senate Business Committee, in its consideration of this matter, emphasized the need to go through the entire constitutional, legal processes, including the directions in the standing orders. And the question of public participation, I think, is aware, and as every lawyer is aware, the courts have put a high premium on the question of public participation. Maybe this point would have been brought out by the leader of the majority, but I have been party to the deliberations, partly chaired by you, Mr. Speaker. And since Mr. Speaker may not be able to speak on a matter that may attract debate, but I think under your leadership, there was direction that this bill be discussed comprehensively and thoroughly and robustly. And that is the way the Senate should go. As to the decision at the end, that is left to the House sitting in plenary or otherwise. So there should be no doubt about that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Wambua. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to join you in wishing my colleagues and yourself a Happy New Year 2022 as we commence the final leg of this session of the Senate. I hope that, Mr. Speaker, we will engage in a manner that instills confidence among the Kenyan population. Mr. Speaker, on that bill, yes, it is true that it's just been read the first time. Mr. Speaker, at times, talk is cheap. Many times, we refer to ourselves as the upper house. Mr. Speaker, an opportunity has presented itself to us through this bill that we must demonstrate to this country that indeed we are the upper house. Mr. Speaker, when that time comes, and this bill then follows the due process, public participation, sufficient time for people to ventilate on this bill. Mr. Speaker, how I wish and pray that each and every senator who will get an opportunity to contribute to this bill would demonstrate to this country and this world that indeed the Senate is the upper house. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Senator Chararge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to equally to wish our colleagues Happy New Year and all the best because it's the year. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I think I want to agree with everybody that it is very important that we rise above what we saw in the National Assembly by ensuring that we have and follow the Constitution as provided for and ensure that all Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, have an opportunity of interacting because we know under Article 118 of the Constitution, one of the key processes of legislation is to ensure that we have a public participation. And I want to thank the minority leader for assuring us that under the Senate Business Committee, they have assured us that this bill shall ensure that it leads to the full life of that is required for legislative process, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, and finally, I hope, Mr. Speaker, by the time either we come for the special sitting, debate, or even when the session of the House begins, the committee of JLAC shall ensure that we get the committee report early enough so that when we are having a robust debate on the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker, the position, because the committee is part of the Senate and would really want to look at the report. And I hope, Mr. Speaker, the committee of JLAC made us proud when they did a report on the BBI document before it came to the House. So I hope when that report comes up, Mr. Speaker, it's sure that it is ready in time so that our colleagues, Mr. Speaker, shall interact and ensure we participate properly, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I hope this House will not be a conveyor belt. I hope we should, through tooth and comb, to ensure that we go through the entire amendment bill and ensure that we give Kenyans opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I hope also colleagues who will have amendments, like some of us, Mr. Speaker, will have an opportunity of also having time to be able, at the committee of the whole, to give their input. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I hope to see this through. Let us give Kenyans what is legal, what is the constitutional provides for, Mr. Speaker, so that Kenyans can stay as a Senate, because now everybody is watching to the Senate, and I hope we'll rise beyond our political interests and give Kenyans the best. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kajwang Moses.
Mr. Speaker, I also join my colleagues to wish you and the entire House a happy new year. Indeed, I hope it's going to be a happy new year, and I hope that many of our colleagues will be back in this House before the year closes. Mr. Speaker, on the point of order raised by Senator Murkomen, he probably is not just seeking your assurance to the House. He's seeking the assurance of this House to the nation, that we are going to rise to the occasion, we are going to live to the expectation, and that will surely be the upper house. Mr. Speaker, history is there, and history shows that whenever there was a crisis in this nation, this House has always risen to the occasion. In the last Parliament, around the same time, we were debating the election amendment laws, Mr. Speaker, and you do recall that there was a lot of acrimony that accompanied the consideration of that bill in the other House and outside there. Mr. Speaker, at that time, it was senators, and I do recall it was Senator Orengo and Senator who is now governor for Meru, Governor Kiraitu Murungi, who led a bipartisan team, who led a team that included Senator Murkomen, included Senator Mutula Kilonzo. So this House has risen to the occasion in the past, and there's no reason why it should not rise to the occasion this time. Mr. Speaker, another example is a BBI debate. Mr. Speaker, we are proud that this House has got a Justice and Legal Affairs Committee chaired by the Senator for Nyamira. Mr. Speaker, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee told this House, especially people like Senator Kajwang here, they told us things that we didn't want to hear. They told us that some things were unconstitutional, and we told them that, fine, this is not a court of law, this is a political contest. They were vindicated by the courts of law. So I want to encourage the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, speak the truth. Tell this House the truth, but let us make the considerations, let us make the decisions, because ultimately this is a House that makes political decisions. Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, I take note that because of the Christmas break, you gave directions that committees should be suspended to give some time for the clerks and secretariat and senators to reconnect with the electorate. But Mr. Speaker, I want to beg your indulgence that as we speak, the people that I represent, the people who live on the islands of Lake Victoria, are suffering because the national government has banned the operations of the private ferry service provider that plies Mfangano Island, Takawiri, and Luanda Kotieno in Senator James Orengo's county. Mr. Speaker, this is causing untold suffering. I have not known how to deal with this matter since the Roads Committee is currently on holiday. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to beg your indulgence that you allow the Roads Committee a window of a week or two to call the CS for Transport and Infrastructure, CS Masharia. Because, Mr. Speaker, to the people of the islands, a ferry is infrastructure. And in every other part of this country, it is a government that has provided infrastructure. But to the people of the islands, it is private players who are providing infrastructure. There is no other example of marginalization than the fact that the people of the islands of Lake Victoria have to pay from their pockets, and they have to pay a lot of money to get infrastructure that is freely provided to other parts of the country. Mr. Speaker, as I finalize, that particular matter, where the Kenya Maritime Authority has banned the operations of that ferry, has also compromised the development of school infrastructure. We know that with the CBC, we need to be building schools, we need to be building classrooms for junior secondary school. Almost 7 secondary schools in Fangano Island, Mr. Speaker, cannot get cement, cannot get supplies, because the people of the islands get everything from the mainland. Mr. Speaker, I've seen the chair of the Roads Committee, the very able senator for Kiambu, and incoming governor of Kiambu, Senator Kimani Wamatangi, is here. If later on, even in your chambers, Mr. Speaker, you could give the orders that the Roads Committee be seized of this matter, immediately call the CS infrastructure, so that the people of the islands, the people of Lake Victoria, can also be served with infrastructure just like other people in the Republic of Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Halake Abshiru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to join you in wishing my colleagues a Happy New Year. And just mention that as I sat here and listened to my colleagues, everybody hopes that the Political Parties Amendment Bill, National Bills number 56 of 2021, gets the due diligence it deserves, and that we do the right thing with it. But I think we should not be hoping, we should be reassuring this country that as senators, we'll do what we do best. We've just gone to say that in the BBI process, we did the right thing. If that's the case, what is different with this Political Parties Amendment Bill? So for me, on my part, I'm not going to hope that the due process is followed. I'm not going to hope that we'll do the right thing. I'm going to reassure Kenyans that from where I sit, this House will do the right thing. Because if each and every one of us decides and commits to doing the right thing, there's no reason to hope. Every reason to just do it. And from where I sit, I would like to reassure the people of Isiolo, the people of this country, that we will, and my KANU party, that I will do the right thing, and that the Political Parties Amendment Bill will get the accountability it needs. It will get the due diligence it requires through the public participation that is constitutionally mandated, and that this House will do the right thing. Mr. Speaker, looking at the order paper today, we have several bills. This bill, while very important and topical at this time of elections, is not any different from all the other laws this House makes for this country. This House has been making laws to the best of its ability, with every constitutional requirement ticked off on the box. So to insinuate or to say that this bill should be done this way and that way, and yet there's so many other bills on which we are not mentioning, is actually to apply double standard to certain legislative procedures just because this touches us as legislators. So I don't want to belabor this, but I would like to say I reassure Kenyans that anything that we do as this House, we will follow the due process as per the constitution of our country. I would like to also reassure reassure ourselves that we are not hoping, we are going to do what is constitutional, what is right, and what will give Kenyans the confidence that this House is indeed an upper house. I submit, Mr. Speaker, and I look forward to working on this and doing the right thing with it. Thank you.
Senator Wetangula. And if you keep them short, you will give an opportunity to many more people.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to join you in wishing all colleagues a Happy New Year. Make one or two very brief comments on this issue before the House. Mr. Speaker, I think you are a very lucky speaker, because there is no time you have ever wished to come to your chair with a helmet. Because this is a House where we talk, we debate, we agree, we disagree, but with dignity and with the respect that this House carries. Mr. Speaker, seeing what we saw in the lower house as this bill was being debated, it made some of us chill. We chill because, Mr. Speaker, there is no single member that is legislating for himself or his party or his region. We are legislating for the country. And every bill we pass must be a bill that makes this country a better place to do our politics and to do anything that we need to do within the law. So as we start the process of this bill, Mr. Speaker, I appeal that one, we are not in a dash, there is no truncating of the process, so that due process is taken, public participation is undertaken, and public participation must be real so that Kenyans can also ventilate, as is required under the Constitution, on what they think of the content of the bill, and that members of this House will debate it freely, fairly, and pass a law for posterity, not for short-term fixes. Mr. Speaker, as I finish, I want to urge that we live to what we have always said. This is a house of reason, a house of senior members of our society that see any disagreement on matters of principle as a discourse in debate, not as an affront to each other. Mr. Speaker, I was appalled to see in the National Assembly a member of parliament beckoning another to come closer to him and then physically assaulted him very viciously, as if they were at war, Mr. Speaker. And the scenes we saw, Mr. Speaker, the TVs were juxtaposing violent scenes in the Kenyan parliament and violent scenes in notoriously violent parliaments of Korea, of Italy, and Somalia. It is a shame, Mr. Speaker, that we can reduce ourselves to that level. I remember, Mr. Speaker, and I salute the distinguished nominated senator from Ruiru, when one time I said something that offended him, he became very livid, but later followed me and said, look, I realized that being livid on the floor of the Senate doesn't help anybody because nobody was interested in my rage. There's a colleague here who has told Mr. Speaker in the National Assembly, he used to be notorious for grabbing the mess. He came here and one time he contemplated that and he saw that nobody was interested in that kind of behavior. Yes, so this House, Mr. Speaker, must live to this level of dignity and give the country a law that the country is waiting for. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I congratulate each and every of the senators for shedding off some of their ugly past and remain distinguished senators of this House of Parliament.
Senator Kimani Wamatangi.
Mr. Speaker, Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to all my colleagues. And I take the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to wish all my colleagues a very prosperous and happy 2022. And because it's going to be a short one, Mr. Speaker, I believe that we'll make the most and best value of it for the few months that we're going to be here. Mr. Speaker, I happened to have come across a schedule that was done by the chairperson of JLAC somewhere in a sharing that we did. And Mr. Speaker, the question as to whether this House intends to give the full breadth and length of time and indulgence to members of the public for them to ventilate, to bring up their views, their memoranda to this House, Mr. Speaker, on this bill, is fully discharged by the schedule I personally saw that has been prepared for the Committee on JLAC by the chairperson, Mr. Speaker. Because I saw in that schedule, it spans all the way from the 13th, Mr. Speaker, all the way up to the 25th, Mr. Speaker, when the committee, I believe, intends to lay the report here. And for any member of public, any member of this House, any interested group, I believe they can take the advantage of that time and bring their views here, Mr. Speaker. On the other hand, Mr. Speaker, I've had an opportunity to have a discussion with many members of the public who have been curious as to what has been happening about this bill. And part of the big question that has been on the Kenyans' minds is, Mr. Speaker, why were people fighting? If you asked members of the public, do they really understand why people are boxing? Very few people understand what the real reasons were. And as you know, Mr. Speaker, when such drama is created around a piece of legislation that is before the House, members of the public get anxious. But unfortunately, this time, that anxiety could not be justified by reasons that would make members of the public follow. And the reason I say that, Mr. Speaker, is because members of the public now are happy that this bill is before the Senate, because when it comes to the Senate, they have an opportunity to now contextualize and understand what are the real issues. Because here, if there is one thing that is clear to everybody in this country, is that this House has discharged itself in the manner that we conduct our business. That when that kind of law comes here, people will be able to understand what the law is all about, Mr. Speaker. A few days, Mr. Speaker, when the leader of the majority in the National Assembly was on national TV, and he was answering questions from one of the anchors, and he was asked, so from here, what happened to the bill? And I was amazed. You know, he made a comment, and he said, we have now finished with the bill, but unfortunately, it is going to the Senate. And you know, I was aching to get an opportunity to understand from the leader of the majority in the National Assembly, why does he think it is unfortunate that the bill is coming to the Senate? And maybe I would only imagine that he made that kind of comment out of maybe context, or probably a word that slipped off his mouth, Mr. Speaker, because when the bill comes here, then we are sure that the bill will get justice. Mr. Speaker, as a winder, I want to urge my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, that during this debate, and I hope towards the end of this tenure of this House, Mr. Speaker, that probably yourself, as the Speaker of this House, just as the other arms of government do, that they have a terminal report that they do to show and tell members of the public how they have done their business, that you can get an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, and I believe when you get to write, even maybe in your memoirs, the kind of house you presided over, this House has been a sober house. The record of the Sergeant at Arms in this House is clear, that he has never had to deploy anyone to come here to stop any member of this committee, of this House, Mr. Speaker, from misbehaving or engaging in violent activities. Mr. Speaker, lastly, I have heard the Senator for Homa Bay, my good friend, Senator Kajwang. And Senator Kajwang, because you're my friend, you know, before, when we used to be on opposite sides of political belief, I'm glad that some of the discussions we had, you remember when we were going to the elections in 2017, we could have been maybe the few who are on record here, because we had imagined at one time that if we wrestled here and we were seen, and were seen carrying the mess, yes, through the Speaker, certainly. No, I was saying, Mr. Speaker, that me and the Senator for Homa Bay probably would have been the ones that would have been only on record here, because there was a time we were on opposite sides of political belief, and as we went to the elections in 2017, there was a time we had thought that we would do a bit of wrestling here and take the mess, and members of the public from both sides of where we come from would vote us in, but that never came to be. That never came to be. And so now we are looking at things in a different way, and I'm happy that it's that way. I've heard you and what you've said about what's happening in the county of Homa Bay and across the county of Siaya. And as you know, every time, Mr. Speaker, when such an issue has come, I have risen to the occasion. Only, unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, sometimes when I have, either in my capacity as the chairman of transport, or even in my private capacity as a businessman, sometimes I get let down. And I want to rope in Senator Orengo, the senator for Siaya. Because Senator Orengo, when I was called to take action, when disaster struck in your county, when a few people were buried in a pit, I moved and swung into action urgently. by deploying equipment to come and help excavate. The excavators that you saw there doing the work were deployed by myself. But today, Senator Orengo, I am struggling to get the attention of your county government to settle dues for people that we deployed and equipment that we deployed to do that, to do that work for 21 days running. And probably these are some of the things that probably, Mr. Speaker, we should look at. How are our county governments working? If you find, for example, Mr. Speaker, that human beings who are in a county like that get buried, Mr. Speaker, in a pit, and then because they don't have emergency measures, you deploy privately so that you can save lives. But at the end of that, it becomes a struggle that nobody can even listen to you when you saved lives, Mr. Speaker. And I wanted to be on record so that Senator Orengo can take it up when you go to Siaya. It is my people who were the first responders to that disaster. To assure you that action is going to be taken by my committee.
Yes, a point of order.
We must not let this debate drag into other issues. Because, you know, like Senator Wamatangi is bringing a point which may attract debate. Because if he's doing business with Siaya County and is not paid, and he's seeking help from me, he should come to my office and I know you and money. I know the central issue may not be life, it may be money, and that we can settle in the office. But, Mr. Speaker, I was just thinking, let not this debate derail into other things. It's a special sitting. And probably, since we were working on the basis that there are doubts whether or not we are going to comply with the Constitution and the standing orders, maybe, Mr. Speaker, you should make it clear at this stage that the bill stands committed to the legal committee. People can continue to comment, but if it comes from the Speaker that indeed we are going to comply with the standing orders and the Constitution, and decorum will be observed, then probably people will talk less, or if they talk, they'll talk on the knowledge that, you know, nobody is going to shortchange anybody. But Senator Wamatangi, you know, I've acted for you before. If you want to give me instructions, I can advise you how to go about it.
Okay, Senator Wamatangi, please wind up because I want to make a ruling on this.
Mr. Speaker, Senator Orengo, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Through the Speaker, I was not giving Senator Orengo instructions. I was bringing to your attention some of the things that you may want to take up so that the county government of Siaya may serve the people of Siaya as they should be. Mr. Speaker, I just want to wind up by assuring Senator Kajwang, and I hope that you intervene, Mr. Speaker, upon the request by Senator Kajwang, because it is a matter of importance, too, that the people of Homa Bay and within that region are able to move at this time, and especially the quick action of my committee to ensure that the services desired by the people of that county are rendered. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank you, I appreciate. Senator Orengo, we can have a discussion later. But in the meantime, let the county government of Siaya also serve the people. And I know you are a good man in interfering. Please intervene so that work can be done. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, honorable senators, you know, since this is just, today is just a first reading, so I will, no. I will just allow the leader of majority and one, the commissioner came late. Okay, Senator Bogisho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, let me just begin by saying Happy New Year to yourself and Happy New Year to my colleagues. Speaker, I would like to join everyone in welcoming everybody back, albeit because of special sitting. And I hope, Mr. Speaker, that this opportunity of fellowship will be used again to renew acquaintances and renew our fellowship together. Speaker, it is not, we are here to do more than just the political parties bill. The political parties amendment bill is just one of the things we are here to do. We have lined up a number of other businesses, a number of other bills. There'll be committees of the whole House and so on lined up. And so, Mr. Speaker, let me just encourage members that within the time of a special sitting that has been called, let us maximize and do our best We have already received assurances, Mr. Speaker, from members who've spoken before me, so I'm not going to go into them, that they have all assured us that this is going to be a house of reason and that nothing will go wrong. Mr. Speaker, the entertainment we got in the other house was sufficient to mar the name of the parliament, but we can redeem that using this house, Mr. Speaker. And so we'll use the opportunity here to redeem that. Wananchi in Kenya to see that there's a big difference between this house and the other. I will not go into the details of how things are going to be done, but the committee that's responsible will help us with the next special sitting. So as soon as we know that the committee is ready and have submitted a report, Mr. Speaker, we should be then able to call a special sitting so that we can continue with the rest of the activities to bring this bill to its conclusion. Mr. Speaker, sometimes I hear people saying we are not a conveyor belt, but sincerely we are. I mean, all houses are conveyor belts. You're just moving it from one house to the other, then to somebody else, because we are not the final guys. The final signature is not ours. So we are basically a conveyor belt. There's nothing wrong with being a conveyor belt, but let's do it within reason. Let's do it with confidence that we have exhausted every reason and every step that we need to do. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, that we have come to that agreement and you can continue with the ruling. I want to say thank you to all members and wish everybody a good year. Of course, it's a good year because it is the year when we all look forward to elections. So I hope it's a good year. A good health to everybody, and may God bless you. Thank you.
I wanted to give an opportunity to the chair, so that then I make a ruling. In the chair, Senator Omogeni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I first want to join you and other senators in wishing all other senators a happy new year, 2022. Mr. Speaker, there is a wide consultation to my right. Yes, thank you. Mr. Speaker.
It's a point of order, Senator Nyamunga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, first of all, for allowing me to make a point of order. Mr. Speaker, I think we are coming to this house for the first time this year. And I can see several ladies seated in this house, including myself. And the way at which business is being conducted, I think there is bias in this house. And right now, we are going for elections, and even the two-thirds gender rule has not been sorted out. So I don't know what will happen in this country in future, if this is the trend that we are seeing, even as we sit here today, Mr. Speaker.
Order, order, order. Yes, Senator Murkomen.
Mr. Speaker, is it in order for Senator Nyamunga, who is a member of the Speaker's panel, Mr. Speaker, and who is charged with the responsibility, your panel is charged with the responsibility of dispensing business in this house, to accuse you publicly, Mr. Speaker, that the business you are running from the chair is gender biased,